Howdy, folks. This is Jim Aurak from the UFO Report, featured on the Hannibal TV. So tonight we have a very interesting episode, long anticipated. So as it turns out, NASA Laboratories was doing a study for approximately a decade or more on information that they received from the Mars Curiosity rover. And really, really interesting. When they first obtained the data, there were a group of scientists, notably the world respected Dr. Ron Joseph, Rudy Schild, as well as doctors Richard Armstrong and Richo. And they actually analyzed lots and lots of data from the Mars Curiosity rover. And from their findings, it looked like life exists on Mars in the past and now. The interesting part is that they published it over 30 different science and space exploration journals, all peer-reviewed, meaning that they were highly reputable, highly credible results. Yet, from what they're telling me, NASA refused to recognize their discoveries. Yet, lo and behold, a long time later, 10 years later in some cases, in 2026, NASA comes out with this huge announcement hinting that maybe there might kind of, sort of, likely, possibly be life on Mars. Really interesting. So, with that being said, we are going to have a look at some of this amazing publications. You're not going to see too much science and engineering gobbledygook. You know how I'm an engineering nerd, but but what you will see is something kind of interesting. I'm going to show you a few graphs, just a few. Bear with me, folks, and I'm going to see if I can get this up on the screen. I'm still a little bit new to podcasting. Please bear with me. Let's see. And in the meantime, while I'm digging that up, maybe you folks could respond in chat or in the poll, talking about 12 a.m. in England. Okay, cool. Maybe you folks could respond in the chat. Do you think life exists on Mars, or do you think that's a bunch of crap? I would really like to know what you think. Let's see here. So this is Jim, Master of Science in Electrical Engineering, who has absolutely no clue how to put media up on the screen. Bear with me, folks. Could take me another minute. Media assets. Here we are. Okay. Video clips, background music. Okay. And we are expecting Mr. Hannibal to join us. Hopefully that will be soon. Let's see. I'm just checking with him right now, folks. Bear with me. Good news about Hannibal is he is healing up nicely. He had a minor issue, but he is back in action. Just sending him a quick message. Okay, hopefully he'll get that. Okay. Neil Armstrong talked about a monolith on the moon. Why did that go away? That's a very good question, Odd but Cools, and thanks for your participation. There's also talk, by the way, about monoliths all around the planet. Um, you know, uh, to be honest, I don't know why it went away at all. Also, you may remember right here on the Hannibal TV, we had a fabulous interview with Dr. Rudy Schild, and he was talking about consciousness. And also, one of his closest friends, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, was an astronaut, and his consciousness actually went into that of an elephant. If you could believe it or not, I'll put that in sometime. The point being that consciousness is different energy levels and transcends different parts of the planets, if you can believe it. All right, enough of that science gobbledygook. You folks want to see facts. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Um, let's see. So, check this out, folks. All right. Now, let's see. Very, very, very interesting, isn't it? So, fascinating, Captain. So, in April 21st this year, all of a sudden, NASA's Curiosity finds organic molecules never seen before on Mars. Oh my God! But, I don't know, SpongeBob. It sounds okay. So here's the thing, guys. This was first discovered by Dr. Richard Armstrong, Richo et al., Rudy Schild, and Ron Joseph, who we had on here recently talking about the plasmoids and bones on Mars and all that stuff. This was discovered by them 10 years ago. And according to what they're telling me, those people at the time, so again, this is not an attack on NASA. NASA is an organization and a government entity, it's not a person. It is a comment on those powers that be that were working in NASA at the time. They did not acknowledge, nor did they thank, nor say anything at all to those researchers for their discovering all sorts of chemicals on Mars at all. This goes all the way back to Joe Levin, by the way, in 1974 with the Viking lander on Mars. So we have NASA JPL, right? And we have, let's call it the Good Old Boys Network. We're going to scroll to the bottom of this article. I'm not going to bore you with all the science and data, unless you want me to. Put it in the comments if you like. But they say I'm too much of a techno geek. But let's see if I can find the credits to where these folks are from. Well, we have mention of MIT, of course. Jet Propulsion Lab. Let's see. Gee whiz. Amy Williams. Amy Williams. Where is she? Let's see. Amy Williams. Well, at one of the NASA labs. In fact, Dr. Joseph actually even told me. He said, hey, this article that came out, they're taking credit for their work without acknowledging that of Drs. Joseph, Schild, Richo, and Armstrong. So here we go. Let's see. Diverse organic molecules on Mars. Oh my God. The first SAM TMH experiment. You are free to go to this link right here if you're interested. And I'll post that afterwards. But the point is, excuse me there. The point is that you can see MIT, okay, Penn State University. Oh, that's interesting. Howard University. Okay. Share screen. All right. Share this screen. Muchos apologios, or however the hell you say it. Okay. Diverse organic. Sorry, folks. Uh, Jimmy Arick is new to podcasting, but I'm a 35-year-old, 55-year-old old fart when it comes to when it comes to science and engineering. And I've been with MUFON for a while. So anyhow, look at this. Nature Communications, all right? 21st of April, 2026, folks. Diverse organic molecules on Mars. Oh my God, in April of 2026. But you see, folks, there's only one teeny weeny minor problem. Dr. Joseph and Dr. Schild already discovered that 10 years ago. So why is there such a big revelation now? You know, what's the delay? What's the reason? Why? I just don't get it. A lot of people don't. Let's see if Hannibal got my message, but don't mind me. If not, we shall continue, move forward here. Doesn't look like yet. Subscription. All right. Okay, folks. So moving along here. Check it out. Diverse, really diverse. Good old boys network, or good old girls network, whatever you want to call it. MIT, NASA, and all that stuff. Okay, and then all sorts of revelations. Organics. So that's known as carbon based. So folks out there, you're familiar with what carbon is. You get carbon in your in your pencils or whatnot. I'm getting a message that things are moving kind of slow. Let me see here. Hopefully you're hearing that all right. Kind of slow. Let me see. Okay, good. So now, previous reports of Martian organics, blah blah blah. Gale crater. Well, gee, the funny thing about Gale Crater, and I'm going to show you right now in Dr. Joseph's publication, the gentleman who discovered the plasmoids and the NASA footage, I just highlighted it right there. Gale Crater, see? And they're talking about chemicals, and we don't have to understand exactly what these chemicals are, but see? Chlorobenzene, dichlorobenzene, C2, C4, macromolecular. All right, so I'm highlighting all these for us. Oh, okay. So now what we do is we go over and we look at, if you look at that again, Gale Crater, Mars, blah, 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 right? Good old boys network, NASA JPL found this, Howard University. I suppose it's a snooty or a prestigious university. Maybe someone highly competent professional went there. I apologize to those folks if it is such a good school. MIT, okay, great. I get it. Okay, and California schools. But what about the professors and researchers that actually analyzed this data, right? And already came to the same conclusion years ago. So now let's look at this from Dr. Joseph, Dr. Armstrong, and so forth. The reason why I keep on mentioning Dr. Armstrong and Dr. Richo is Dr. Joseph and our friend Dr. Rudy Schild want us to be absolutely sure that we give credit where credit is due. That's why when I said, RJ, also known as Dr. Joseph, you discovered this. What's the big revelation 10 years later that folks in NASA discovered this by analyzing their data? He's like, yeah, that's the way that they snubbed us. They didn't give us credit for our work. And then he said, by the way, that's Dr. Armstrong's work, and Dr. Rudy was also involved. So I got a hold of Dr. Armstrong, and he said, no, 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 that's correct, but it's all of us, but it should actually be Dr. Rizzo, Rizzo. He's the one who led this effort. And so they all want to make sure that everybody gets fair credit. And interestingly enough, on the publication, they give credit where it's due to NASA. So I'm going to pull up RJ, that's Dr. Joseph, and I'm going to show you what he found, along with, of course, Dr. Armstrong. I'm getting so confused with all these names, but all these highly brilliant, good scientists. You get Dr. Rudy Schild. He is a astronomy legend for gravitational lensing, right? You've got Richard Armstrong, highly reputable. Vincenzo Riccio, okay, and look at this, okay. It was in Tech Open, all right, highly reputable, peer reviewed by fellow scientists, right? And this was in 2020, 6 years ago. Don't forget, they have to submit at least 6, if not 12 months earlier. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. These very friendly, very approachable, by the way, scientists discovered this. And then all of a sudden there's this big fucking revelation, you know, between 6 to 10 years later after these guys, that look what we discovered. And this is what RJ was talking to us when he was talking about his plasmoids, that, hey, he analyzed the NASA data and it has a NASA logo right on it. And we looked at those plasmoids, and he said sooner or later, when those life forms are acknowledged, then he expects a Nobel Prize, but he expects that other people say, look what we discovered. And at first I thought he was being a little humorous and maybe exaggerating, but goes to show you, here's case in point right here. Okay, folks, so the search for life on Mars, blah, blah. Gale crater. We just saw that in the revelations in the news from the NASA April of 2026, this year, publication. Well, gee, this was by RJ and Rudy's colleagues back in November of 2020. Okay. See, 2020. All right. So looking at that, I don't want to bore you too much with Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers with chemical symbols and whatnots. But if you actually want that, put it in the comments, and I'll be very, very, very extremely happy to provide you with that. Not a problem. But pictures are worth million words. Gale crater. Okay, cool graphics by Riccio et al. And they're talking about the path of the Mars Curiosity rover. And by the way, folks, the argument out there, it is kind of intuitive. You would think, okay, well, gee, maybe because this is NASA data, Mars Curiosity rover data, perhaps that means, okay, so the other scientists that discovered this, you know, 6 to 10 years ago, and all their work, more than 30 publications, refereed and peer-reviewed by scientists, technologists, etc., all highly intelligent people. The top 0.1% of population in the U.S. alone gives you an idea worldwide, the very, very small percentile of these brilliant people. That's a percentage of scientists in the U.S. alone. Okay, so anyhow, moving forward on this, they submitted it, and they're saying, okay, here's Mars Curiosity rover data. And you could say, well, gee, I don't know, because if it's Mars Curiosity rover data, then perhaps the credit belongs only to NASA. Well, don't forget that NASA actually has scientists, engineers, everything from, organization leaders down to the janitor and people in the cafeteria that work for them, either directly, through contract, through subcontract, through partnerships, right? So that's why they have so many universities associated, for example, with NASA Jet Propulsion Lab, which, by the way, I highly respect. That wasn't a dig at NASA JPL itself. It was a dig at the fact that 10 years ago and then 6 years ago, whoever was over there did not acknowledge the contribution of the scientists. So it was a dig at those people, not at the organization. That's a big difference. Just telling you. God help me! Don't go after me, so they'll be dead too. All right. Anyway, so looking at that, um, scientists in partnership with NASA always analyze data. Sometimes they have direct collaboration. Sometimes they are direct contractors, subcontractors. Sometimes they're employed at NASA, whatever. But the point is, more importantly, since there's open collaboration, right? Let's not forget this is government funding, which therefore means taxpayer money, right? That's why whenever I interview all these highly reputable, wonderful people, be they private or former government officials, they always say, we're releasing data to the public, universities or common citizens, everybody can analyze it. Well, because that comes from taxpayer money. So, of course, Dr. Joseph, Dr. Schild, Dr. Armstrong, Dr. Richo, and all their colleagues and friends analyzed it. That's one of the beauties of it. So why is it when they made these discoveries of chemicals and life and so forth on Mars that that their work was not recognized? Okay, so let's see. Okay, complicated chemical names, right? I'm not going to bore you with it. The point is just look at all the chemicals. Okay, methanethiol, whatever, dimethyl sulfide, thiophene, blah blah blah, benzothiophene, guaranteed. And again, I'm going to post all the links. Okay, I'm going to post all the links on UFO Report and Hannibal TV. But you see that right there, this link. Okay, all the links. Just if you want to do research and compare, and you'll see that approximately 2/3 of these chemicals, if not more, were talked about in this great big revelation from the present NASA 6 to 10 years later. But they were already discovered by these scientists and analyzed by these scientists way back then, but they weren't appreciated or acknowledged by NASA. So, and I'm not saying it was anything malicious. What I'm saying is it's kind of bizarre that whatever happened back then, you would expect that scientists and researchers nowadays would do their research back then and at least credit or reference the previous work with their own data. So, okay, now on to interesting stuff. And please feel free to comment. I'm going to check to see if we have any more comments here. Let's see. Thank you. Yeah, odd but cools. And I don't see our buddy, the other buddies that are watching. But please comment if you have any more questions. And that includes you, of course, GB12 and odd but cools. Cool guys, odd but cool names. So I wonder what that is. I see green little doodads that look kind of creepy, almost like something like you go, ha-too, and it comes out as some sort of biological material. Must be. Well, you might remember, folks, from Dr. Ron Joseph's talk with me a couple of weeks ago when we interviewed with the fabulous Jill Gosselin. He was talking about all these different forms of life, everything from microscopic to macroscopic. So let's see. They analyzed things called grains. I mean, look at that. Okay, kind of interesting. So here's something where NASA interpreted these as crystals, but there was something a little bit different. And Dr. Joseph also noted, you've got different pigments. There is some orange in this, and there's some green. Typically, Dr. Joseph was saying that represents photosynthesis, which those of us not familiar with it, photosynthesis is just a chemical process that plants use to thrive. I guess I'm not good with plants, but anyway, the point is photosynthesis, right? That's how plants grow. You water them, they're in soil. Through the photosynthesis, they regenerate, they grow, and so forth. So Dr. RJ was simply saying, well, with those pigments, you know that there's some photosynthesis involved. Okay. Um, then Dr. Richo, Joseph Armstrong, Schild, and the rest of their colleagues, apologies, I can't remember them all. They talk about a full analysis of all the chemicals and what they suspect they are, and amazing analysis. So this is a mere 6 years ago, I believe, right? Yeah, 6 years ago. Study not acknowledged at all by NASA. Okay. Um, Rice grains compared with various crystals. So the point here is, even if it is a rice grain, quote unquote rice grain or other biological form, it's suspect. Why just ignore it and say it's crystal? It's not biological. Results. You notice how they shared their results 6 or 10 years ago? Even if other scientists don't agree with results, why not even say, well, this study or similar study was performed 6 years ago or 10 years ago, and we don't agree with the results, but no, none of that, of course. Okie dokie. Um, so, and you'll notice that Dr. Richo and Armstrong uh, talk about others analyzing this, right? They don't leave out others and they don't snub anybody. In fact, in this article or another one, they thank NASA for all the data that they obtained. That's another story about how they obtained it. See, though, right here, they cite it, NASA JPL, okay? But it's the people's data, right? We funded NASA. God bless and watch over NASA and continued success. They're wonderful. Again, the statement is about the status quo and why individuals did not acknowledge contributions by the other scientists. So if you look at these, right, Dr. Joseph was explaining to us last time, different part of Mars, that these look very similar to certain biological colonies. I mean, of course, I'm a layman with this, but to me, that reminds me of some sort of either plant or exoskeleton colony. I mean, if you look right here at this thing with the hole in the middle, you see that? Apologize for that. And they suspect bodies in this picture, some sort of animal thing. I kind of see it. This is very interesting what Dr. Joseph was talking about. Okay, but although this was originally found by Doctors Armstrong, Richo, and their colleagues, so if you look at these, um, it looks like um, some sort of either fungal or bacterial colony. Yeah, and that's what Dr. Joseph believed. RJ, if you're watching now or later and you want to correct me on that, I'll be happy to comment on your behalf, or if you want to comment on YouTube. But when we spoke last time, you were explaining what looks to be some sort of bacterial fungal colony, and you said, look at the pigmentations, right? We could see green there, okay, and it's not to be dismissed; it's to be explored. And like you said, Dr. RJ, why turn away from it? Why turn the Curiosity rover away from it. It's kind of silly. So here we have interpretations of what these rice grain images might actually be. And so so NASA had interpreted that there's some sort of crystalline structures. And so what these scientists were saying 6 to 10 years ago is some sort of conical bodies. So that's why they're bodies, meaning biological, right? Tube worms, like see this one says CN. They refer to something called tube worms, which I'm not familiar with, but Dr. Joseph is into biology, neurology, and also cosmology, so he understands that. And so the point is, there is a type of biological entity on the order of millimeters, referred to as a tube worm, and they picked that up. You can actually see something similar right here. So this was on Mars, and so what Dr. Joseph's colleagues are saying is, look right here. You see the you see number 4 goes number 4, number 1. You see the outline. What they're saying is they examine it, and it's tube worms. But what they're getting from NASA is they're not talking about any type of life at all. They're just saying that they discovered all these different chemicals, longest the largest carbon chain compound ever discovered, at least naturally. And the thing I have to say about that is, everyone's free to their own opinion, but as Dr. RJ says, why not just be open-minded and consider it? And if you want to refute it, then you could say the reason why I disagree is, it doesn't mean that you have to ignore other people's findings. So now there's a comparison between fossils on planet Earth versus over on Marvin the Martian's planet Mars. I'm going to blow up the planet Earth with my XK1 ray gun modulator. That's Marvin the Martian. For those of us old as a dinosaur like me, if you remember him, I hope you like that impersonation. And so in comparing the two, you could certainly see similarities between Earth fossils and those on Mars that the professors believed to be fossils. Of course, we have all sorts of technical analysis, which you are free to look at on the links. And I'd like to jump onto another analysis. Oh, by the way, acknowledgments. Sorry, just to show. Look at this. So I'm magnifying this for an obvious reason. Gee whiz, some of these professors, right? And again, this was an international effort. So, Mars Curiosity rover, right? U.S., taxpayer funded projects and research, yet studied worldwide by other scientists. So not only Dr. Joseph and Dr. Schild on other publications, but of course by Dr. Richo and Armstrong, they acknowledge their colleagues. See, we thank Filippo, professor. We thank Joan. See that? Oh my God, recognition and thank you. I mean, how about for these professors that actually analyzed the data 10 years ago, and then on another publication, this one right here, 6 years ago? Why not being at least acknowledge and say other scientists looked at this and mention them? This work would not have been possible without NASA's images and data, for which we are grateful. Oh my God, they thanked NASA. Now again, entity, organization, right? Department. We need them and they're wonderful. So I'm not taking a dig at them. In fact, NASA has funded my own small business research a long time ago. What I am saying is the status quo, the powers that be back then did not acknowledge their work. And where's the disconnect? Put that in the comments. Do you think that there was a disconnect? Why is it that nowadays this work was not acknowledged? I'd like to know. I don't know if you have comments on that or not. Yeah, I don't know about that, Hannibal. I'm not too smart for you. Bail me out, Hannibal. And in fact, I might have one of these professors come on and drag me into the ring, and I'm really gonna need your help. But anyway, but that was very kind of you to say, Hannibal. I appreciate it. I'm just a techno geek, but this stuff is cool. Here is something else. Here, let's let us look at more work by uh, Dr. Joseph, Dr. Armstrong. Allow me to put this in. Let's see. We saw all sorts of analyses of. Um, let's see here. Um, you know what's interesting too is I wonder why there seems to be some sort of lag. I don't understand or know why that is. There's some sort of video lag. I apologize for that. I have no control over it. Anyway, I want to pull up a totally different publication. And I'm going to find it in just a second. You know what I'm going to do? Let's do this real time, folks. Let's work together. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull up Dr. RJ Joseph and Rudy Schild and Armstrong et al.'s very cool, very interesting analysis of skulls and bones. So, Pee Wee Herman, I know you can, but what can I do? All right, let's see. Let's see. It's pronounced Ron Joseph, and Schild, Mars, Life, skull and bones. Okie dokie. There, boom. And we did put this on our episode a couple weeks ago on the Hannibal TV. But I'd like to I'd like to put it on again. So this was uploaded by Dr. Joseph, but as you can see, we also have the wonderful Dr. Rudy Schild here as well. Humanoids, bodies, bones, skulls, UFOs, UAPs, spacecraft wreckage. So, by the way, folks, the reason why I think this is kind of interesting is because this is in the same general path taken by the Mars Curiosity rover. And Dr. RJ's point was, you know, why would you turn the Mars rover camera off? And why would you move the Mars rover away from such a site? Why wouldn't you investigate it? That was what RJ's point was. So, in looking at that, again with the video lag, because I've got it real time, but wrong one. Let's try this again. PDIF. Call me a quack. Mars humanoids. There we go. Share it. Hooray. Oh my God, there's a bone on Mars. Who was it? I don't know if we're ever going to find that out, or if we do, that's going to be a long time away. But the point is, look at it. I mean, if it's not a bone, then it's one hell of an interesting rock. Okay. So RJ's point was look at this. This is a crash site in the general area of the Mars Curiosity rover that it had taken near Gale Crater in the general vicinity, may not be exactly at it. And so this work was also ignored by NASA, and they said different things like it's just strange looking rocks, or it's an optical illusion. So that was RJ's point when he had spoken to us, and also Rudy Shield's point. Let's see here. Sure, make a liar out of me here. Refresh it, baby. Can we refresh it? If not, I'll have to. Let's see. Okay. Try to do this. In the meantime, bear with me, folks. Bear with me. Hooray! We got it. Okay. So remove that. Share this. Share a screen. A Master of Science in Electrical Engineering and 35 years of experience and no clue how to podcast. Here we go. Okay. So skulls, bones, etc. What they believe to be spacecraft wreckage. Okay. So Dr. Joseph published this a long time ago with Dr. Schild, and then they published another analysis. This analysis was only 3 years ago. Knows how they credit NASA, though, for all the access to data, although how exactly Dr. RJ obtained the NASA data, that's another story for another day. It'd be very interesting. So anyhow, that gives you an idea of the path of the Mars rover. This link right here, this PDF, shall also be posted. Well, that's my local link, but I'll give you the link to the online PDF. Okay. So what looks to be some sort of wreckage site with some sort of primitive digging bones, and so digging tools, bones, possibly, and then some bizarre weird shapes. You could say, I suppose, that it looks like some sort of strange piece of slab of a rock, whatever. But I mean, look at this pattern right here. Look at that pattern. I mean, you could see it. There's some sort of bizarre pattern. And so the professors proposed, there's the bone, that it looked like a crash site. Part of the rover in that picture. Part of the overall site. So this is interesting, right? Here it is again, right? Could be an illusion, like in Dr. RJ's own words, or could be a crash site. I mean, so what we have here is, you could see in the bottom left, it looks like possibly a humanoid about that big, according to RJ. And to the diagonal right, you see one half of a flattened rock, but extremely, very, very smooth, flat edge. And there's actually another edge near it. Maybe it's just a rock, or, they speculate it really looks like a crash site. I mean, could be an illusion. If we get a little imaginative, we could say it looks like this guy's brain got smushed, and that's coming out to the left. So he's got two eyes, he's got a mouth. You could see that on the head. You can see his arms and his legs, etc. And what do you think? Put it in the comments, folks. What you think it is? Is it an illusion? So the doctors perform different types of optical analyses on it, and different types of digital and AI processing to determine what it is. So look in the upper picture, right? And maybe it's just a strange rock formation. Who knows? But what's kind of interesting is that the Mars rover went to that general area and it did take footage. So it does make you kind of wonder, you know, it had to be somewhat interesting to those researchers, you know, why else would they do that? And strange formation right here, right? Maybe it's nothing, maybe not. Investigate. And RJ's point was, instead of investigating, the camera was turned off, and supposedly the Mars rover continued on its path, or continued around its path. And the question is, as RJ says, how could you actually navigate a Mars rover if the camera is turned off, right? Think about it. It's all the way up there on freaking Mars. You've got cameras, and you've got all sorts of detectors and sensors, so you have a general idea of where it is, but the camera's off, so you have sensing and where you're going stuff. But if you're blind and you're not used to being blind and going to roll around, why not keep the cameras on, right? Why turn it off, and then why move away from something that's interesting? That was RJ's point when we spoke with him a few weeks ago. Okay, so now Dr. RJ and Dr. Schild is saying, look at this. So this, more Mars data. If you look really close at that, again, maybe it's an illusion, maybe not, but if you analyze it, looks like, to me, it looks like a dumbbell, whatever, something like that. Way back when I wasn't such an engineering wimp and I could actually lift even a dumbbell. But anyways, RJ speculates that it's actually a set of wheels. And something with a little bit of enhancement, to me, it does look like it. And if they're wrong, they're wrong. But why not just say, okay, I got your analysis. Here's my feedback. Why just some people would politely say, oh, it got poo-pooed, and other people would say, well, their peers at other organizations, which I already hammered away, or other universities, basically talked shit about it and said, no, that's nonsense. It's an illusion, and they shot it down. Okay, general path of the Mars rover, and we spoke about, you see that red arrow. So that's where that purported crash site is. And don't forget, by the way, even if those things, the skull, the bones, the humanoid, even if those were just illusions, all the other things with pigments and shapes, like the tube worms, the fungal colony, so forth, all those things are legit. And they did chemical analysis. And again, NASA comes out 10 years later, whoever it is at NASA, and makes this big miraculous discovery about chemicals, 60% or more of which the professors already published 10 years prior. Piece of the Mars rover right there. And here's a very bizarre shape. What do you think it is? Put it in the comments. I'd like to hear what you think. Is that an optical illusion? I don't know. Worth investigating. That was another thing that the rover was turned away against. But if that's the case, you can see in the professor's analysis of these pictures, and they did a little bit of processing. Very, very interesting how these similar shapes are in the same general area. Look at that. If nothing else, it's interesting, but I think it's more than interesting. I think there's something to it. I believe that was part of the rover orbital in that picture. You can see this here. Interesting pictures. In fact, more interesting than those publications by NASA, even though these are NASA pictures, but that big revelation they came out with. And by the way, we're not the only ones that feel that way. These publications by Joseph, Schild, Armstrong, Richo, they have cited dozens, if not more, of other scientists that have analyzed NASA data about Mars, with similar proposals, that life could exist, although the scientists that we're talking about now are saying it does. And I'd say they have a very good argument. Interesting objects, but we'll skip that. Okay, so part of what could be, I mean, to me, it looks like a super duper toilet seat. Just joking. Um, you know, Interesting. Optical illusion or part of a crashed ship. You know, part of a crash site. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. See this right here? I mean, these are great images and great analysis that Dr. Joseph and Dr. Rudy Schild did. And by the way, the other professors uh, in their correspondence with me, they said that RJ and Rudy have done great pioneering work. So they're all respectful of each other, and they're coming out with more analysis. They wanted me to get that message out to you folks. So this is actually happening now. And when I first told them about NASA's revelation that they discovered things that kind of sort of maybe possibly might little chance hint at life on Mars, or if nothing else, say, oh my God, they discovered all these chemicals. Well, guess what? The professors discovered it 10 years earlier, analyzing the same data, and it's it's just I don't know. I'm a little bit speechless on that about giving credit where it's due. Here's something else that's kind of interesting, right? I mean, how many interesting artifacts can you have? I mean that is just weird. And they do very good analysis on this. And the point I wanted to make about those professors that I keep reciting their names over and over is they are still performing research on that data. So it's cutting edge, and more publications and knowledge sharing with everybody in the world is coming out, which I think is really cool. And they were adamant that I'd get that message out to you folks. It's been wonderful that I've been having access to these scientists for a little bit of a while now, and very approachable, kind-hearted, good people, by the way. Wouldn't harm a fly at all. Um, what looks to be a skull, is it an optical illusion or a skull, like RJ says to us? The only thing I could say, since I'm not a cosmologist, astronomer, or geologist, I'm just a nerdy engineer. My thought is, with all of these pictures and data and chemical analyses, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say more than there's something to it. I'm going to just say there's something to it. There's some form of life on Mars. I've seen so much. I'm almost overwhelmed with all the evidence. And it's hard for me to hard for me to fathom and pick out. But if nothing else, the professors have proven that there's some sort of photosynthesis going on, and some sort of green and red and orange pigmentation. Again, fungus, algae. They have they also have other pictures. It may not be in this particular publication, but they have other pictures of what appear to be mushrooms growing. In some type of fungal colony. It may not be in this publication. So, folks, wrapping it up, I would like to sincerely thank very much Mr. Hannibal himself for this opportunity for a wonderful UFO report. You folks, happy Friday night. So long.